Hi, this is Mike making my video to add to my collection. Today is 7/21/2026 and it's 7 o'clock a.m. Almost 7, but anyway, yeah, I'm talking about, how everything is more or less a cartoon, very advanced video game uh, that we live in. I don't know where the hard drive is. I don't know where the disc is at. I don't know where the movie screen is at, a DVD player or the TV set or whatever. But um, more or less, I guess my eyes would be the headset that I'm wearing. And you take the headset off, and then more or less everything disappears. Uh, you step outside of the matrix, and you stop taking the red pill and you take the blue pill. That's kind of what I'm doing now. Don't get me wrong, I like to understand what's really going on. Um, but yeah, I came to the conclusion a long time ago, that everything's just a very elaborate illusion. And we live in that illusion. We live our lives, we do our things, and, you know, uh, we come to the conclusion in life that it's all an illusion, so why get worked up over it? Why take life so seriously? Why, you do the best you can with what you have, and whatever cards you got dealt, you deal with it. And there was a point in time in my life when I did achieve great things, and I was a very powerful man, well endowed, upstairs and downstairs. My body was perfected. Uh, but then you also think about, how much energy it takes, to keep your ego going, uh, to keep that illusion going in your mind, your ego being the illusion, and how much energy it takes to keep up with that status quo, and to keep the illusion rolling, and, how hard it is and how much money it takes. And, big house, 5 cars, rock superstar. But, if you got a big house and you have 5 cars, and everything that goes along, the lifestyle that goes along with that, it gets to be very, very draining and very, very expensive. And, I've had 3 houses in my life. 2 of them were just trailer houses, but I liked them. And, I had one house. But, I've lost so much stuff over the years, it's unreal. And I've gained also. So, if you take your losses and gains and you do your cost benefit analysis, uh, after this year is done, I got another year yet. I got to be here. But after that's all said and done, if everything works out the way according to plan, I should have probably broke even on a lot of things. And then, I just have things to still accomplish, but not quite as much as I used to have on my list. My bucket list is getting really small. And I just saw a video the other day on YouTube, where uh, where a guy, he was 60 and he was saying that he no longer chases after things. longer pursues things like he used to. And he found out that, through it all, he basically has a lot less uh, things that he's really striving towards. He's no longer chasing after things. And he was 60, and, he found out that, he's living a simpler life. And that's really what I've been doing. And I'm really trying to perfect that, living a simpler life. So, it's incumbent upon me, to uh, live a simpler life and find simpler things to do and have hobbies that don't cost much money. I've got things, and I'm happy about that, but I also, have to live a simpler life. And, I really take up my time, by doing uh, guided meditation and stuff like that. And then basically, uh, I go throughout life, you know, achieving smaller things. And I take solace in achieving smaller things. So, basically, I, uh, I have pretty much less stuff on my plate to worry about. So I've got responsibilities, but for the most part, they're within my grasp of things that I can handle. And, with that being said, I don't do as many things. So anyhow, I talk about manifestation and all that and how to achieve things and how to get things in life. But then, then I just realized, that it's all basically an illusion. It's all a very elaborate illusion at that, very persistent illusion. But nevertheless, it's still an illusion. So, I've got, fewer and fewer people to worry about. But then again, I got my kids and my grandkids, and they're doing their own thing. They're living life to the fullest, with whatever that entails. Whatever they're doing, and of course, my brother. So, anyhow, I've got my hobbies. I've got things I like to do, and I've got things that I enjoy. Uh, I've got my little projects, and I got my little uh, things that I enjoy. I like technology. I like cutting edge technology, and I got things that I need to accomplish yet. And once all that stuff is taken care of, after this year is done, then maybe I should probably move to Cumberland, right down the road from here. So I no longer chase after women. I used to, but it's just not conducive. It's not such an it's not a conducive environment for me to be involved with a woman. I wouldn't be able to satisfy her because my sex drive is messed up, and there's no point in wasting my time chasing after that stuff. When the dream is just going to dissipate, and there's no point in it. And there's that. And then, I've also got the ability to look at that stuff as much as I want. And if, of course, my sex drive was there, I could interact with them, but I don't have a sex drive, so I just sit like a bump on a log and just look at things, and I can do that now. So there's that, and then there's I got my little robot, and I wanted to get a full size robot, but that probably wouldn't happen not in this environment. So I got my little robot, and then I got my night vision equipment. I pretty much exhausted all the possibilities with that. And I got my camera. I used to have a whole box full of cameras, but I pretty much traded the box full of cameras for my night vision equipment. And then I got my vehicle. I took 2 trucks and more or less took the value of those trucks, and I bought one. I'm still in the red, I'm in the negative as far as things go, but I figure after this year is done, I probably would have about $30,000 on top of that I would need to call it even. So, it's like I'm not really planning on having kids, and I can't have kids now. And it wouldn't be conducive for me to have kids. I can't tolerate them. And I definitely can't work. And even if I had kids, I just, there's no point in me going on and on trying to have more kids. I already have my couple of kids. It's like Ishmael and Isaac. They're going to be like stars in the sky. They're going to carry on their generations and stuff like that. And then my sister's got kids, and my brother's got kids, and my nephews and nieces have kids. And so they're all having kids, they're doing their thing. And it's not conducive for me to own a house. I just rent a room somewhere. There's no point in owning a house. It's not modest, it's not practical, it's not realistic, it's not rational, it's not logical for me to buy a big house or to have all that. He who travels light travels far. And, there's that. And then my brother always tells me that. And, I just hold out the storm, work with my brother. And like I say, I got grandkids and my grandson and my granddaughter. My grandson's a spitting image of me. My granddaughter takes after me too. So, if it wasn't for me, those 4 people wouldn't be here, my kids and my grandkids. So, I don't talk to my ex-wife anymore. Uh, she's not doing good. And that's because she chose to eat all the time, and that's the life she chose, and that's what she gets. So you got rich dad, poor dad, you got all the things and all the decisions that you make in your life that determine what kind of life you have. And I've got a relatively modest life. It's a little bit above modest, but I'm happy with who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm starting to deteriorate a little bit, but for the most part, I'm doing okay. And this camera doesn't do me justice. So, anyway, that's all I got to say for now. Over and out.